Hey everyone, it's me, Coco Havoc. And I did try streaming earlier, but I felt really bad about it because I was giving out some. Let me take these off. I was pretty much giving out some really bad, half-baked advice, but I didn't think through, and I wasn't feeling very good about it. But then I was thinking, it's October. What I like to do in October is I like to read really dumb creepy pastas. And so that's what I'm going to be going for today. I'm going to sit down here for maybe about an hour and I'm just going to read these creepy pastas out to you all. And really, I don't care if anyone's listening. I just like doing this. Because I'm also really bad at just public speaking, kind of. Because I stutter a lot. Alright. I like the sound of this. This is called The Little Religion. Alright. It's supposed to be this 7 minutes long. Yeah, let me get a good drink. Let me lubricate them pipes. Alright. We called it The Little Religion because there were only 4 members: Gina, the baker's wife, homeless Owen, Pally, the chestnut farmer, and my brother, Kurt. They held services in town, and they held services in the town square at noon each day. They were quiet with their worship. The 4 of them would sit in a circle in the grass, talking in whispers and holding hands. It became a common sight to see them there. Other than that, they spent their time doing ordinary things. Gina would help her husband in the bakery. Owen would wander the town looking for jobs. Pally would be on his farm. Just typical, regular things. Kurt was the only one who seemed to disappear for stretches of time. The only other odd part of their little religion is that they never slept inside. Whether it was warm or pouring rain, all 4 of them could be found sleeping under the stars. The rest of us in town went to church every Sunday. Once I saw Kurt walking down the dusty path away from the church as we walked towards it. I raised my hand to wave to him, but Mother quickly slapped it away. My parents didn't like to acknowledge him at all since he stopped going to the church. But Kurt still smiled and waved anyways. His kind eyes fell upon me, and he said, "Many sunny nights, Justine." Yeah, my name's Justine. I warmed at the sound of my name in his voice. I had always loved Kurt. He was the perfect big brother. When Mother and Father kicked him out of the house, I mourned as if he had been killed. Now I only saw him in passing, but every interaction was precious to me. That day at church, the sermon was about otherness. It seemed to be a common theme as of late. I only half listened instead. I watched Gina's husband, Rick, as he sat in front row, absorbing every word. I think he felt an added pressure to appear devout, since his wife no longer attended services with him. I can only guess that everyone was trying to stay as close to God as possible. The church had never been fuller since the little religion sprang up. And then there was the issue of rumors. "They worship Satan," I heard Mother whisper to her father one night. "I heard they sleep outdoors so they can be closer to Lucifer." Aye, the men at the shop were telling me so as well. They say Pally has been killing off his goats and then fucking them before they even get cold. Hey, CV, I'm reading creepy stories today. I tried to sleep, but I had a horrible nightmare of dead goats. One of them rose up and gored Kurt in half. I kept closing my eyes and seeing Kurt bleed out 2 identical holes in his chest. Even still, he was smiling and telling me, "Many sunny nights, Justine." The rumors continued and got worse. My friends would murmur about Gina killing the baby bunnies in her garden, and then carrying them around in her mouth. It was said that Owen snuck into people's houses at night and left blood trails on the furniture. A grain farmer blamed Pally for his dead crops, accusing him of putting a curse on his family. And then there was Kurt. It was agreed that he was their leader. My teacher explained factually that Kurt had sold his soul to the devil, and his penis had grown 2 feet long. His carnal... His penis had grown 2 feet long. I don't think today's family friendly. His carnal appetite was insatiable, and he took young women to the woods for unholy relations. I knew this wasn't true, but I said nothing to any of it. I knew that if I spoke out of turn, the rumors might turn to me. This is how it was for a time. The little religion continued its rituals and cultivated a growing fear in the townsfolk. Rumors and accusations flew from every mouth, but it was always ended at words. The practitioners were not clearly welcomed, but nothing had physically changed. That is, until Matilda joined the little religion. Matilda had small eyes and the same color as her mousy hair. She had nervous fingers that were constantly moving. She had a bad habit of cracking her knuckles during the quiet parts of church. She was 24 and still living at home. Her social abilities lacked any sort of grace, but we put up with them. After all, she was the daughter of a minister. When awkward, lonely Matilda sat down with a little religion at noon one day, the town erupted in disgust. The accusations had been confirmed. They had corrupted poor little Matilda. They were trying to ruin the ministry and cast out God's children. Suddenly, we cared about the stocky daughter of a minister. And I have to admit, something also changed in me. It wasn't hatred or fear like the others. It was curiosity. That night, I snuck out of a window and walked along the edge of town. I walked by the bakery and saw Gina sleeping soundlessly on a bed of rocks. Her face was peaceful. I passed Owen swaying drunkenly on a bench. He sang nonsense and sipped brown liquor out of a bag. I made my way to the church where Matilda was trying to get comfortable on the sweaty ground. "Hello, Matilda," I called out to her quietly. She rolled over and smiled at me for some reason. She seemed less odd. Her face was softer, her demeanor less awkward. Her voice carried on in the windless night. "Hello, Justine. Out for a walk?" I can't sleep." She sat up gracefully. I used to have a hard time sleeping as well, until I found the others. The others? I had stopped walking, and now I stood almost directly over her. "Yes, Kurt and them all. I feel free for the first time. You should try it, Justine. Just head to the cave past the fields on the north. You'll find what you're looking for." Images of dead goats and sex floated through my mind. "Hey, maybe I will. Good night, Matilda." "Many sunny nights, Justine." I wanted so badly to go back home into my bed. I knew what to expect there. In the far cave, I knew nothing. If I trusted what the townsfolk told me, Lucifer himself could be there, waiting for me. But what if Kurt was there? My feet made the decision for me. I started my way across the fields. They were wet with the humidity. Summer's woolen blanket had draped upon the town. Even in this late at night, I began soaking through my dress. My stomach protruded and nearly burst the center buttons. The fields were wide and empty. They had once been home to a plethora of horses, but a break in the fence had been too tempting for any of them to stay. No one had moved any other livestock here. It just sat sullen and green. The nettles reached up for my shins, but I carefully avoided their touch. I found myself in the mouth of the cave in no time. There was a fire illuminating the stone walls. Men were speaking from deep within the cave. I hovered near the entrance. I recognized one of the many voices, my brother's. So I entered cautiously. "And what did you want me to do?" Kurt sounded annoyed. I moved with my hands along the wall to keep upright. Tell her no. Tell her to go the fuck home. I didn't immediately place the other man's voice. I wondered if it was Pally, but I could have sworn I saw him snoozing on a hay bale outside his farm. I couldn't say no, not in front of the others. I heard movement from the men as if they were pacing. Know it, Kurt. You've ruined it. You're going to get her killed. It's not my fault you can't control your people. I had never heard Kurt yell like that. My spine tingled uncomfortably. I shifted behind a boulder, and the scene lit up before me. Kurt stood angrily, opposed from a man who had his back to me. There was a scattering of food and other household items on the floor of a cave. The fire beckoned to me with a flame licking my fingers. I crouched down a bit more. Kurt put a hand to his head. Look, I can fix this. I'll drive her out. The man stood still. I think it's too late. The townsfolk are to the point of violence. They want you and yours gone. Fine. Kurt extended an open palm. Pay me what you owe me, and I'll leave. The man laughed. You think I'm still paying you after you co-opted my daughter? The minister turned, and his face was plain to me. His features were twisted into something less than kind. I should have been shocked to see him, but instead, I felt a knot rising in my throat. Kurt stepped forward. We had an agreement. I started this little cult. Get the others to flock back to your church. And you give me enough gold to get Justine out of here. You stupid boy. The minister loomed over him. Justine is practically popping. You think I'd ever let her leave with you? I know your secret, you... Ooh. Kurt decked him square in the jaw. The minister felt like a tree in a storm. I gasped and Kurt turned to me. Justine? I stepped forward slowly, my dress clinging to my abdomen. Kurt rushed to my side. Are you all right? I'm fine. I looked down at the minister. His jaw was crushed. Blood pooled at his head. I turned back to Kurt with tears in my eyes. I thought you left because of me. No, I would never leave you. I just knew we needed the money to get out of here. He came to my side and cautiously placed a hand on my belly. I confessed to the minister the day after you told me. He gave me two options. Either be exposed or do this little religion he had cooked up. He figured the town needed a common enemy to get him back to God. But it was all for you, Justine. It had always been. I guess she's pregnant with her brother's child. Okay. I took his hand in mine. It felt good. Strong. I bent down slowly, careful of my swollen belly, and plucked the keys from the minister's belt. I know where he keeps the collection of plates. That will be more than enough to get us off to the next village. I looked at Kurt's eyes, my lover's eyes. We will raise this baby like we always wanted to. His face softened and a tear fell. We will get back to those sunny nights, Justine, when it was just us falling asleep beneath the stars. We walked out of the cave holding hands. It was still dark, but we had many miles more to walk until morning. As long as I had Kurt beside me, I knew I could do it. I felt a small kick, and I knew God was beside us too. That wasn't as scary as I thought it was. That was just awkward. That was just nothing but incest. I'm disappointed with that one. And that was supposed to be one of the toppest stories on Creepypasta right now. That was disappointing. I guess incest for Wincest? Hi, Rainbow Katy. Today we're reading Creepypasta stories. I was expecting blood and gore. I was actually expecting to go to gore someone. I was excited. Now I'm just disappointed. out of this one. This one's titled, Next Time I'll Summon a Smarter Demon. It's got quite a few good stars. Let's read this one next. Next time I'll summon a smarter demon. This is only like a 3-minute story. Apparently it's not a very big one. Alright. Let's hope I don't stutter as nearly as much as I do, because honestly, that's my problem. I stutter so much. Okay, here we go. I drew the pentagram and symbols on the hardwood floor, lit the candle, and recited the spell that was written in the ancient leather-bound book. Squaring my shoulders and setting my jaw might have made me look more confident, but I was nervous as hell. I doubt anyone would blame me. Summoning one's first demon is more than slightly terrifying, but I needed to do it. I had tried everything else I could think of to set my crumbling life back on track, and supernatural intervention was my last resort. Thick black smoke swirled within the circle of symbols as tortured screams filled the room. Just a few short minutes after I had spoken the last word of the spell, a giant creature stood before me. It sniffed the air before locking its bulging orange eyes on me. I imagine it would have narrowed them if it had expression. I imagine it would have narrowed them in its expression of disgust, but it didn't have any eyelids. It wrinkled its bulbous nose and brought its thick, chapped lips into a sneer around two thick fangs. Human! Why you bring me here? Its voice boomed, like it was speaking through a microphone, and my ear was right next to the speaker. I stammered. I want to make a deal with you, bruh. Its rotund belly bounced as it laughed hysterically for a moment. I make no deal, dumb human. What? Why not? I demanded. The book said... Book wrong. Human soul worth nothing like human. No, I did not waste all this time and money for some idiot demon to tell me it was for nothing. You're going to help me or I'll... I was interrupted by an angry roar. The demon clenched its fingers into a fist and came at me, splintering the wood beneath its enormous hooves with each step. I don't know if the creature didn't see the ceiling fan because the room was dark, or because it was so fierce that it wasn't paying attention, but I was given the opportunity to run when its head smashed through the wooden blades in the globe around the bulb shattered. The abandoned house where I had performed the ritual was unfamiliar to me, and I prayed that I was running toward the exit, as the demon crashed through the door of the empty room I had chosen for my venture. It slammed into a wall and raced after me, stumbling over decaying furniture left behind the long gone inhabitants of its dwelling. It let out a half-vicious, half-terrified yell as I found the stairs to the first level and began my hurried descent. As I reached the front door near the base of the steps, I heard a deafening yelp followed by a loud crash. The demon had tripped at the top of the stairs and tumbled down them. Once its massive body hit the landing at the bottom of the floor, it collapsed and the monster fell to the basement below. The sudden silence intrigued me, so I cautiously walked to the giant hole in the floor and peered through it. The creature let out a groan, and it gingerly sat up while rubbing its head. It looked around the rotting basement before shifting its gaze up at me. The dazed look on its face was replaced by one of embarrassment, followed by one of fury. It got on its feet and reached for the remnants of the floor above, when it realized that it couldn't quite reach. It jumped. You would think that such a powerful creature would have no problem leaping the 2 feet it needed, but it wasn't even close. When it landed, one of its hooves awkwardly hit some rubble, and the beast fell on its back. It growled in frustration, sat up, and glared at me intensely. I suddenly felt freezing cold and blazing hot at the same time, and I decided that it was the time to get the hell out of Dodge. I ran to my car, and thanked God that I picked the place in the middle of nowhere, At least no one was in imminent danger if that thing escapes. At least if it decides to attack you, you'll hear it coming from a mile away. None of these are turning out creepy. This is supposed to be creepypasta. I want to not be able to sleep tonight. Alright, how about we taste a random pasta? No, I'm not wearing glasses, that's right. I might put on my glasses. Where did I put my glasses? There are my glasses. Oh, wow, I can see. I know, CV, I'm trying. This one's a random one. This is called Evaporation, and it's got, like, almost all stars. It starts with water, and that reminds me. I need a sip. Bye, CV. Thank you for stopping by. Alright. This is called Evaporation. I might take this off again because the glare is bothering me. No one likes glare. Water. Water is the cornerstone of life. It nourishes us, it irrigates our crops, and waters our livestock. Water is vital for all known forms of life. We rely on it, wash our cars, clean our food, produce our power. It has... Sorry, I gotta move my legs real quick. Ooh. We rely on it to wash our cars, clean our food, and produce our power. It has an effect on almost every activity in everyday life. Without it, civilization would cease to exist. Governments would collapse, crippled by an undefeatable enemy, drought. It would be a matter of days, no longer than a week, before every living being on Earth perished. In short, we cannot live without water. 2 days ago, we were forced to begin just doing that. What is it, Rainbow Kitty? Why the wait? I'm going to go ahead and continue reading. This one's actually seeming pretty interesting. I don't know how it began. Nobody left alive does. During the initial hours of it, theories range from barely plausible, like a new form of greenhouse gas, to ridiculous, such as a new type of light, one that only evaporates water. I remember those hours fondly. The true enormity of what had happened, and what had happened had not yet fully sunk in, and hysteria had not yet clutched the human race. What happened? I'll put it simply. The first was that every single drop of fresh water on the entire planet evaporated instantly. I don't think I can do this event justice. I'll just try. Can you imagine every single river, every single lake, every single natural source of water drying up instantly without a rational explanation? I doubt you can. But that's exactly what happened. It wasn't restricted to natural sources either. As far as I can tell, all the bottled water in the world also evaporated. As to the water tanks and other similar sources, it also disappeared from other substances, including soft drinks, creating foul sugar compounds that would make those that consumed it quite ill. There was not a single drop of fresh water left anywhere on Earth for anybody to drink. But by far worse result of a lack of water was the nuclear reactors. Without pressurized water, most of the nuclear reactors in the world would. Without pressurized water, most of the nuclear reactors in the entire world, those that utilize purified water as a coolant, had no available source of coolant. And just under half of these had poor, untested, fail-safe plans. The resulting effect of this led to a catastrophic nuclear meltdown in roughly 46% of water-cooled reactors. The world, already reeling from the unprecedented situation, fell into total anarchy. International communication ceased after almost exactly 24 hours after it began. But there was a second effect: saltwater poisoning. Many people flocked to desalination plants in the first few hours, hoping for salvation. They found none. At approximately the same time as the worldwide evaporation, saline increased by fivefold in every sea or ocean on Earth. Desalination plants were able to cope with this load for approximately 20 hours. Then fuel began to run low, and with the imminent collapse of civilization thanks to multiple nuclear catastrophes, no more was delivered. Thus, the last ever drop of fresh water on Earth was pumped out no later than midnight yesterday. And after the drought came the collapse. With no water available, civilization soon descended into anarchy. Governments, typical of authority to the very end, tried maintaining order. It didn't work. Soldiers rebelled, shooting rioters and runners alike. Those who didn't die were brutally executed moments after. They turned on each other. Soon enough, with only a few militaries intact from the carnage, the deserters fled, unwilling to stay and watch extinction of the earth. But by then came the worst, far worse than anything before it. There was, in fact, one source of water that hadn't been touched. I'm so lucky I realized this before anyone in my town. It was my blood. Blood, which is over 90% water, was the only remaining liquid fit to drink. And so some did. At first, I didn't believe it. It was too horrific. Animals went first. The desperate drank the blood of cats, dogs, pets, and feral animals of all kinds. Many offered too little blood to be of any value. The situation was made worse by the fact that I live in a rather large metropolitan city, and beyond domesticated pets and the odd feral animal, there was no animals to catch and drink from. Perhaps those in the country fared better. I have no way of finding out, and frankly, I don't really give a fuck. I knew then that humans were the only other option. I first saw it 12 hours ago. An elderly man, dressed in nothing but a torn dressing gown, slowly made his way down the street that ran in front of my house. He called for help, desperately, croaking out that his entire nursing home was dead or dying, and that the nurses had fled, and that he was looking for help. He was so pitiful that I almost opened the door, if only to offer him some respite from the midday sun and some of my sparse rations. If I had been a second faster, I would not be writing this. Before I could open the door, 3 people, 2 men, 1 woman, pounced from the shadow of a nearby tree. The poor old bastard had no chance. They leapt upon him, frenzied in their dehydration, and set on him with the makeshift tools. It was the most terrifying spectacle of my entire life. One of the men had a hammer. He had set about bashing the man's joints in, one by one. Crack! 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 I wrenched bile from each of the hammer slams into his bone. So sickening was the crunch. The other had a gardening hoe. He hovered above the elderly man, bringing the makeshift weapon down once, twice. The tool cut through the man's ankles like a knife through a steak. The metaphor made me vomit. After I did, I looked back, if only to satisfy my own growing horror. Oh, how I wish I hadn't. The woman, who was weaponless, save for her own 2 hands, had straddled the man's chest. Her hands were spread over the screaming man's face as her own companions butchered him. Then, even as I watched, she dug her thumbs into her eyes. He howled like nothing I had ever heard before. She dug harder, pushing inward and outward simultaneously. Then they were pulled free. Blood, and some even less Discernible liquids splattered all over her. She grabbed them and ate them like fruit. I could hear the chewing sounds from my door. They bent to consume the precious blood, and I turned away. I called them the drinkers. There's one thing I want to make very clear about them. They aren't zombies. Nor are they affected by some external force. That external force that forces them to drink the blood of humans, such as a virus or a disease. They are entirely human. I suspect that dehydration affects them worse than it does others, and this forces them to drink from humans in a form of pseudo-cannibalism and perish. They represent the dark side of humanity. The drinkers also seem to recognize each other through some subtle signal. Not being a drinker, I wouldn't know. As fast as I possibly could, I took my meager supplies and some small comforts, this journal, and my I don't know guns, but it's a Desert Eagle, up into my bedroom. I pushed the bed against the door with my rapidly fading strength and piled furniture on it. The Desert Eagle has a full clip of 7, and I have one spare. I have one spare. Enough for 13 drinkers, and well, I'm sure you can imagine. No, I did a stream earlier, but I didn't like it, and I didn't like the way it was turning out. So I deleted it, and I thought, hey, why not read spooky stories? No, not wearing glasses again. Another 6 hours have passed. I can really feel the dehydration now. My tongue feels numb, and my skin feels like sandpaper. I tried to eat some bread before, and I almost choked, with no saliva to moisten my throat. Now I'm hungry, as well as thirsty. I don't even know why I keep writing this. Maybe it's something to occupy me during the final hours of mankind. Maybe I hold some hope that a solution will be found, and somebody in the future will read and remember what it was like. Maybe I'm just delusional. It's getting worse. I'm breathing heavily and becoming more and more lethargic. This room feels like a sauna. I can almost see the heat waves bouncing across the room, becoming more and more intense until I am literally cooked alive. It's not a pleasant vision. My pen keeps slipping from the pages as I suffer random bursts of weakness. I'm scared. I won't even be able to pull the trigger if the time comes. Hi, Nate. Actually, I need to take a drink. I'm so terribly thirsty. The last time I urinated, it burned. I haven't defecated for a long time. My vision's fading in and out, and my head feels like it's going to split open from the intense pressure inside. My skin is so dry and leathery. I know I'm dying, but I've still got the Desert Eagle. Maybe I should kill myself before I lose the strength to do so. God knows it's better than dehydrating to death or letting the drinkers get me. So thirsty. It's dark and I've lost the gun. Vision almost gone. So thirsty. I'm going mad. I'm dying. Wait, what's that? So thirsty. Somebody's knocking at the door. They want to be let in. They say drinkers are coming. Should I? I don't know. Maybe I'll go get a drink. I'm so thirsty. I don't know, that one was kind of creepy. Let me try another random pasta. Alright. No, this one doesn't sound interesting. No, that one doesn't sound interesting either. Third time's a charm? I don't even know how to say that. Bone Dust. This one has shit reviews, though. Let's try another one. Alright, maybe this one. This one has some pretty good reviews, and it's called Down Here. Oh, this is a really long one. I don't want to do a super long one. I'm sorry. I'm getting really picky. Alright, this one should be good. High reviews. Sounds kind of creepy. It's got a short reading time. Alright. Let me take another sip. Some good water. And let us begin. I sat staring blankly at the screen. For how long, I can't be quite sure. Desperate for something to watch, read, listen to. In search of some stimulation that might exhaust my mind to a point where going to bed seemed like a good idea. I closed my eyes and strained hard, pressing for some idea of what to type in the search bar, but nothing came. It wasn't apparent to me how long I'd been sitting there, postponing sleep, gazing with glazed eyes at the monitor and refreshing the same social network feeds over and over again. Waiting for some fucktwit I didn't know or care about to update the world on their life happenings. Nothing changed, though. It was well past 2 a.m., and most people were rolling over, ripping up the sheets, and drooling on their pretty pillowcases. Somewhere between the ears, a sharp pain fired off, and I realized I had a headache. Oh, great. Again. I reached for a bottle of ibuprofen sitting conveniently by my computer mouse and washed the two of them down with a last mouthful of my warm beer. Refresh. Nothing happened. Couldn't think of a song to listen to. Refresh. Same thing. No ideas for articles to read. Refresh. Nothing. They're all sleeping, damn it. I snapped the laptop lid shut. Went to the window to look out. There was a street lamp directly across the street from my little apartment, which I suppose was the reason I hated going to bed so much. One of the reasons, anyways. There wasn't much to look outside either. Thin blankets of snow on the ground, still cars in the neighbor's driveway. Couldn't see the stairs. Must have been cloudy. The apartment was even less interesting. A pile of half-read novels lined up on the shelf, arranged by size from biggest to smallest, dimensions, not pages. Drying rack full of dishes that were probably dry by now, but that could wait until tomorrow. Old flower-patterned couch, made even more garish by the bright blue and yellow striped blanket. Bright blue and yellow blanket striped. I can't speak anymore. The bright blue and yellow striped blanket hanging over the back and the walls. The walls were the thing I hated most. Painted in that inoffensive, bland, mind-numbingly expressionless light beige that seemed to be omnipresent in every fucking apartment I'd ever been in. What I wouldn't have given to paint those fucking walls, it would have been worth it, even if a damned landlord kept my damaged deposit. Leaving the window, I paced along the wall, dragging my hands as I had done over and over again, in moments of boredom, around the kitchen/living room, divided by a half wall, and made distinct by a clumsy architectural divider that reached off from the main wall by a couple of feet, and around the corner to the short and narrow hallway that led to my bedroom, on the left, and the bathroom at the end. Strolled lazily into the bedroom, flicked on the light, looked around, flicked it off, and walked out again. Stopped for a quick piss in the bathroom, frowned in the mirror, then made my way back to the chair. I started flicking through the books on the shelf, but I couldn't decide which one to read, so I gave up and sat down on the horrendous couch, staring out of the sliding glass balcony door. Alright, give me a second. I gotta adjust my legs because my legs are killing me. There we go. Alright. And that's when I saw it. At first I thought my glasses were skewed, and then I took them off and gave them a ritual wiping with my t-shirt and put them back on. No, it was still there. That's weird. It wasn't shocking, nor was it one of those things that causes you to jump out in outrage. It just seemed a bit odd. I've been looking at the picture frame, sitting on the half wall that stretched partways from the kitchen floor and living room, which was perpendicular to the couch I was sitting on, and something about it didn't seem right. The picture frame was all right. The wall looked right, as much as any half wall can. But there was something funny about where it joined to the outer wall of the apartment. I couldn't be quite sure what it was exactly, but it seemed like the outer wall was a good foot or more farther from me on the kitchen side than it had been on the living room side. I gave it a frown, then a giggle. Obviously, the landlord had done a bad job with the renovations, that had done some miscalculations, and the inner paneling on the kitchen side was curved at one end. I didn't know much about carpentry, but I had a basic understanding. Yeah, that's it. I got up, walked to the fridge for another beer, and glanced at my wall again. My explanation didn't convince me, as the wall looked flat as could be. It was the damnedest thing, because from the kitchen side, the wall looked perfectly normal. Maybe it was the other side that was off. But I strolled back to the living room, and the wall on that side seemed normal too. It didn't make sense. I decided to forget about it. I set myself back on the couch and opened my beer. But there it was again. The wall in the kitchen looked farther than it should be, or the living room wall looked too close. It was hard to tell which was the case, but something was off. That much was for certain. I took a gulp of beer and got up again. I walked over to the corner of the kitchen and ran my hand along the wall near the floor. It certainly looked like these things were joining up at right angles. I did the same in the living room side. It looked perfectly normal. I even grabbed a book and stuck it between the floor and the wall, and slid it across on both sides, and in both rooms the book fit snugly where the floor and wall met. Then I did the same between the wall and the room and the divider. Perfect right angles. I sat back down on the couch again. Now it seemed even more apparent. It was as if the kitchen was no longer than the living room, and impossibly so, as they both shared the same square space, an outer wall of the building. It didn't make any sense. The wall to the left was definitely farther than it was on the right side of the half wall. But how could that be so? I shuffled my way around the room, observing the dimensions with squinting discretion from every conceivable angle. No curve, no obvious deviations. If I could believe what my eyes were seeing, and I had no reason to doubt them before, the kitchen should be protruding from a side building about 12 to 15 inches. I was flabbergasted. It shouldn't be. Even with the thickness of wall, I would guess about 6 inches wouldn't account for such an error. It wasn't the way that geometry worked. But then I looked again from the couch. The difference between the distance on the two sides, that was impossible to ignore. What the hell? Yeah, this one really sucks. I don't think I like that one. I'm not going to finish that one. I'm just going to go back to the front page and see if there's anything better there. Okay, this one just sounds like clickbait. It's called "My Roommate Joined a Cult," and that just sounds like if you guys watch Jack's films, and you know on Yai he does this give me clickbait this title, and it just sounds like "My roommate joined a cult." I think I'm gonna read this one just for that title. Hopefully it'll be better. And I'm a little cold. I just turned on my heater, so hopefully it'll warm up in here. But I'm a bit cold. Alright, this is supposed to be a 9-minute story, which is bullshit. It'll probably take me longer because I'm reading this out loud. Alright. I'm a student at Bridgewater State in Massachusetts. I share a dorm with my roommate, Wallace. We both major in computer science. And that's all we've ever talked about on the rare occasion that we actually speak to one another. We don't have much else in the way of common ground. You see, Wallace is an odd guy. He's socially awkward and doesn't have many friends, if any at all. I've only ever seen him talking to his professors and one time, a janitor. It's safe to say that Wallace is a bit recluse. Because of this, I don't know much about him. I would love for the guy to open up more, but I'm not sure how to go about that. Besides, I have enough on my plate as it is between exams and the struggle of day-to-day finances. As cliche as it might sound, ramen is a popular meal on campus. Another one of Wallace's quirks is his obsessive-compulsive nature. He conducts himself in a very specific manner and has had his daily routine mapped out to a T. It never changes. When he wakes up, he brushes his teeth, making sure to gargle and spit exactly 3 times. He puts on his striped shirt, followed by khaki pants. His wardrobe never changes. He always arrives to class 5 minutes early and turns in assignments a day before they are due. This is how it's always been. How do I know all of this? Well, being a socially awkward hermit, Wallace didn't tell me these things. I don't even think he's aware that his routine is a byproduct of OCD. I'm not claiming to know exactly what causes Wallace's actions, but I do a minor in psychology. It's just something I've picked up on during the 2 years that I've lived with the guy. It's almost impossible to not notice. Knowing Wallace's unusual behavioral patterns, I noticed that something wasn't right. He began sleeping in his clothes, not brushing his teeth, not passing in his assignments on time. Eventually, he stopped sleeping in our dorm altogether. After over a day of not seeing him, things started looking grim. Despite not knowing Wallace all that well, I became worried. Depression and suicide rates are at an all-time high for our age group. I didn't want the poor guy to do something stupid. That worry justified me hacking into his laptop to see what he'd been up to. It was one of the only things I could think to do. And finding his laptop and turning it on, I felt like a tool. The thing was as clean as a whistle, at least to my eyes, you see. Though I pride myself in my tech know-how, Wallace is far more adept in the field. It was safe to say that I wouldn't find a shred of evidence as to where he might be, or what he'd been doing. No journal entries, no browsing history, no nothing. Feeling anxious, I thought about any other potential way to continue my hunt for the truth. That's when something clicked. Like I said before, I sometimes saw Wallace talking to the janitor in the halls. He was the only person I had ever seen him speak with at length. It was possible that he knows something about Wallace's state of affairs. Later that night, I exited my dorm and wandered the halls. Eventually, I found Chuck, the janitor. I tried to be gentle in confronting him, as he had his back to me, and I know he had to be hard of hearing. Still, when I tapped him on the shoulders, he jumped. "Holy cheeseballs, you nearly scared me to death." Chuck laughed through his bushy gray mustache. "What can I do for you, son?" This is a horrible accent. Close enough, same thing. I told Chuck about my predicament and how I was concerned for Wallace, not having seen him in a while. Chuck's happy expression transformed into a look of unease and tension. He seemed to know a bit more than I did. Well, here's the thing. Wallace is a good kid, and we do chat from time to time. I happen to know where he might be. But I wouldn't feel comfortable blurting out the details of his social life to anyone who asked, even if you are his roommate. Social life? Wallace didn't have a social life. I pressured Chuck into letting me in on the secret. I really laid it on thick, expressing a great deal of concern for Wallace's well-being. Being the nice old janitor that Chuck is, he eventually gave in. Okay, I understand. Just please, don't tell him that I told you, okay? I nodded eagerly, waiting for him to reveal Wallace's whereabouts. Wallace has been feeling really down lately. He's got no one to talk to but me. The kid wanted some friends, people that he could, hang out with. I listened closely for the details I so desperately sought after. So Wallace went on something he called, what was it, the deep web. On there he found a group of people that call themselves the Clan of a Red Wolf, or something like that. They invited him to one of the meetings. That's probably where he is right now. He seemed pretty excited when he told me about it, in fact. He's been talking about it for past weeks. There it was. That was a bit of info I needed, the key to finding Wallace. I thanked Chuck and gave him a goodnight wave as I ran back to my dorm. From the sounds of it, Wallace got himself involved with another group of people who share his interests, and eventually they invited to hang out in real life. I had their quirky name, the Clan of a Red Wolf, and that's all I needed to find them on the deep web myself. Soon enough, I'd find my missing roommate. It took quite a while, but I finally managed the deep web forum pertaining to the so-called clan. It contained nothing but a description of a series of videos. Here is the description as it appeared on the site. Welcome to your new belief system. We are the Clan of a Red Wolf, and we are here to help. There are 7 educational videos on this site, each tailored to a specific belief that we want to share with you. You are asked to watch these programs and understand our doctrine. If you make it to the last one, you'll be invited to our den. Good luck. The summary was bizarre, but nothing less than what I expected. Scrolling further, I noticed that all of the videos were titled similarly. Day 1, Day 2, and so on. Naturally, I watched them. The whole series reminded me of an old war propaganda. It was made in the style of a vintage cartoon, starring a wolf as the main focus. Not a normal wolf, but a cartoon caricature version of one. Picture a character similar to, like, Wile E. Coyote or some shit. In each video, the wolf learned a new clan value from the campy male narrator. Not unlike old cartoons, the wolf comically goes against the narrator's wishes and suffers the consequences before learning his lessons. Every video ends with the narrator saying, "Join the pack. You never have to feel alone again." I guessed that was the selling point for Lonely Wallace. I will share with you a bit of transcript from each video along with the points of interest. Video 1. Wildlife. Treat flora and fauna with dignity and respect. They are people too. Trees provide you with air to breathe, and animals share the earth with you, keeping you from being alone. They deserve more than you ever will. Wolf relieves himself on the tree. Tree falls on top of him, crushing his head and revealing blood and brain matter inside. Video 2. Thicker than blood. Your blood is the most important material in your earthly vessel. The clan requires a sample upon joining our order. This is a requirement for all pledges. Our blood must flow as one for us to work together and save the planet. Wolf enters a room full of cloaked figures, presumably clan members. All members are in line, giving blood samples. The wolf refuses to have his blood drawn and walks away. A cloaked figure sneaks up on him and slices his throat with a dagger. The video focuses on the wolf bleeding out for a few moments before fading to black. Video 3. Obey or suffer. Remember that what happened to our friend when he didn't give blood to the cause? He didn't obey our orders or rules. He had to suffer the consequences. Remember, the clan laws are important. You must obey or perish. Trust me, it's worth it. Shows the wolf bleeding out again. Only now a few cloaked figures are on top of him, stabbing his corpse repeatedly. Video 4. The Vow of Secrecy. The clan of Red Wolf is often misunderstood because of this. It is important to never tell anyone our existence under any circumstances. You may only speak about clan activity with other clan members. Break the rule, and you will perish. Wolf is shown talking to his wolf pals and showing them his new cloak. The cloaked figure walks in frame with what looks like a semi-automatic weapon and opens fire. The wolves fall to the ground dead. The cloaked figure gives a thumbs up before the video ends. This just sounds like the Fallout videos with a little guy. Video 5. Learn and understand. If you're allowed into our inner sanctum, you will be greeted with knowledge. We abide by the word of Red Wolf, and you will too. You will be expected to learn and understand his teachings. Otherwise, you will fail. Not only will the clan, but the entire world. Wolf is seen in a classroom environment taking a test of some sort. He turns it into a cloaked teacher and receives an F. The entire class points and laughs at him and then pulls out a plethora of medieval weaponry from their robes. And they proceed to close in on the wolf. The wolf swallows a lump in his throat before the video ends. Video 6. Tasks and rituals. As a new recruit, you will be asked to carry out various tasks ranging from the mundane to the fantastic. Most of these missions will involve fetching ingredients for our rituals. As boring as that may sound, it is the most important thing you can ever do for the clan. Rituals are what gives the clan power. Without the power, we cannot hope to rid the world of what plagues it. Wolf fails to bring ingredients to clan members for ritual. Jump cut to Wolf being sacrificed on a black altar atop a pentagram carved into a floor. He is beaten, cut open, and eventually torn apart by his fellow clansmen. Video 7. Mortals. When accepted as a full-fledged clan member, you are no longer considered human. You will be one of us. From that point forward, you are discouraged from any and all human interaction, unless it's deemed necessary to the cause. Humans are vile, filthy, disgusting, and dangerous creatures. We will seek to exterminate them once and for all. Any human who knows of our existence and isn't deemed worthy enough to join must be killed. Nature is your only friend. Wolf was walking down Main Street-like environment and can be seen waving to everyone he sees. He comes upon a clan member who then pierces his guts with a long blade and tosses him aside of a road where he is then ran over numerous times. The content of the videos was incredibly jarring. I couldn't believe that such a cult could exist, let alone that Wallace would join them. He must have really been lonely. The last video exited with the same join the pack spiel, and then faded out to a scream of series of numbers. I assumed this was my invitation to the den. Perhaps an encrypted set of coordinates leading to the clan's lair. That, I thought, must have been where Wallace is gone. I wrote down the code and immediately started doing some research to begin cracking it. Just as I was in the thick of things, it hit me. One of the videos stated that you couldn't talk to anyone but the clan, under any circumstances. But Wallace talked to Chuck. That didn't make any sense. Wallace was a stickler for rules. Another fact hit me. The video stated that you could only talk about clan activity with other clan members. What if Chuck was one of them? Chuck could be stationed at the college to recruit members. And he could simply could have nudged Wallace in the right place. He could have been playing dumb when I questioned him. So either Chuck was a Klansman or Wallace had broke a cardinal rule. Neither theory held much water. If Chuck was a member, then why would he have told me anything about it either? If Chuck was a member, then why would he have told me anything without either recruiting or killing me? And if Wallace was so eager to be accepted to a strict cult, then why would he disobey your wishes? I couldn't make much sense of either angle. I eventually gave to the notion that perhaps Wallace simply disregarded the rules in lieu of his excitement. He was finally going to have friends, so he had to tell someone. This didn't completely sit well with me, but I had to get back to cracking the code. I didn't have time to dwell on the uncertainties. Just then, there was a knock at my dorm room door. Just then, there was a knock at my dorm room door, followed by a voice. "It's Chuck, the janitor. I'm here to tidy up your room." Chuck never cleaned dorm rooms. That wasn't part of his job. I'm all set, I yelled, hoping he would leave me be. The knocking ceased. There was a long stretch of silence, followed by a soft metallic creak. The dorm knob was turning. Oh. Is that it? Oh, now I'm slightly disappointed. Alright, I'm going to end that there so I can take a shower and do all the things that I need to do because I have to work tomorrow. Thank you all for watching, and good luck sleeping tonight. Bye! I keep messing this up.